What is going on, people? It's the TDK podcast. You already know what it is, and if you don't know, get to know. So today we've got myself, Rash, and we've got Rich. So we're going to be talking about Conor Benn's impressive performance last night. So how did you see the fight going beforehand? Like, what were your predictions for the fight?
I thought that Ben was going to win, but I didn't think he was going to blow him out like that in as impressive fashion as he did. Everyone's saying that he's the most improved fighter, and he is. I think people are getting a bit carried away, but it's what happens with boxing, especially when you see a knockout. You know, people get overexcited with knockout punches, and they always overrate them. So Golovkin was overrated, and don't get me wrong, Golovkin was a fantastic fighter. He was brilliant, but he was overrated. People saying he's better than Bernard Hopkins. He's one of the best middleweights ever, and then he loses two debatable fights to Canelo, and people write him off. So
he lost one, but yeah.
Yeah, well, he lost one and he drew one, but you could argue. I think he lost the second one, and I think the first one was a draw or Golovkin. But either way, Golovkin was being overrated. He was never better than Hopkins, and that's what happens every time you see a puncher. People start saying, you know, he's the best thing ever. He's this, is that. But boy, there's another puncher that we all know that people were hyping, started hyping.
It's day to this day.
But after he got smashed up by Fury, people start hyping my man as well. It's just it's par for the course with boxing fans. Conor Benn did really well. He boxed well. His dad was a concussive puncher, and it's starting to look more like the finished package. But he's not beating Sean Porter now. Putting him in there with Sean Porter will be a dreadful mistake. I don't know what Johnny Nelson was on.
Johnny Nelson was on
some strong substances.
He was on his businessmanship, man. But to reinforce what you're saying, I did think that Conor Benn was going to win before. I've seen a few people saying, "Oh yeah, Vargas was going to win on experience." What are you talking about? Because he's been beaten up so many times by. He's been beaten up by He's been beaten up by Danny Garcia, Errol Spence, and he got beaten up by Ortiz, and he lost to McCann. I'm not even going to say he got beaten up by McCann. He dropped him twice, but he lost to those guys, and I think those type of beatings against those type of names, they take a lot out of you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So now that he's won in very impressive fashion, I'm seeing people saying, "Oh yeah, but he beat them quicker than Errol Spence." Yeah, but bro, this is after all these guys have put the beats on him. So it's kind of like that's going to take years of your life, like in the ring. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like. I think Conor Benn's definitely improved. I think I like his mentality, and I like that his scrappy attitude. But I think they're matching him very safely. I think they're matching with names that ain't winning, that have been in with these guys, but they're not anybody. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he fought the guy that just fought Sean Porter before, and he beat him quite well. But again, he wasn't really anybody. Vargas isn't a good puncher. So I think I'd rather see Conor Benn try and fight domestic guys, because he's not. I don't feel like he's. I think he's improving, but these fights ain't really shown what he's got to dig deep. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think he can, because in the Payne's fight he had to dig deep. So I want to see that again. I want to see if he's able to do that at a better level. I still think the Josh Kelly fight's a good fight to make.
I think he beat Josh Kelly comfortably now.
He could do, but then I think it's there now, because I think Josh Kelly's more skilled, but then like Ben's got a lot more aggression and a lot more grit to him. So it's 50-50. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that skill, because he's not at Abersan, where the grit's so much more than the skills. It's a very competitive fight. You know what I'm saying? Or even just fight a few domestic guys. No, he doesn't have to fight Marku, because I think Marku's beneath him, but he needs to fight a few domestic guys.
So what you said there, I think that Josh Kelly needs a rebuilding. I think Josh Kelly's a good fighter and he can still come good. But I think Ben looks like he's much more complete than Josh Kelly at the moment, which I wouldn't have said a year ago. But they're still both in their development stage. I think. Yeah, but it would be better.
And then Josh Kelly's been fighting better positions.
He has. I think Ben against Avanese is a good fight. Get him in there with the winner. Get him in with Avanese.
I think if it kind of goes to show the confidence they have in Conor Benn, because they're trying to match him safe, even though they're talking about Amir Khan. Amir Khan hasn't won a fight in how long? Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas if they were that confident in him, they would have still made the David Avanesian fight. You get what I'm saying? So it's not to say that Conor Benn's rubbish. I'm just saying they're not that confident in him.
No,
they'd be putting him in those type of fights.
He's still a novice. So I think there's a long way to go. So Josh Kelly, Avanesian, I mean, that would have been my question, but you answered it. Is where next? And I think he's about that level. Speaking about beating Sean Porter now is laughable. And if they put him in with those top guys at Welter, Garcia, Sean Porter, Spence, Crawford, Furman, he's getting knocked out.
I think Sean Porter, I don't even think Porter would stop him, but he would just beat him up.
Yeah.
I think Aaron Spence would stop it. Aaron Spence, that would be an easy fight for Spence. Even Danny at this stage would beat him. I think the only one I'm not too sure about is Keith Furman, because Keith's so shaky. But even Keith Furman should beat Conor Benn.
Should beat him. He should. Beat him. He's not very active, but you look at his last fight with Pacquiao. That was a close fight. Okay, he got dropped. It was a split decision. He looks very good, and this is not to criticise Conor Benn, but he's not at that level yet. He's not ready for the best. He's still developing. He's got his dad backing him. I think they need to continue to push him slowly. The problem is with people like Johnny Nelson, they get carried away and they start writing checks for these fighters. They need to settle down. Johnny Nelson, he needs to think about kind of his statements. He needs to think about what he's saying. Like I said before, he needs to think about where he's going. Think about his decision, and be patient with him, because he'll come good. But welterweight stacked, and he doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to be there at the top yet.
Okay. So we're gonna wrap this video up. That's a good chat. Thank you, Richard. I've been Richard. You've been Rash. I'm with the TVK podcast. Like, share, comment, and subscribe, and everything, and all that good stuff. And yeah, next time, all right? Peace.
And this is the TVK podcast.